everyone. So this week we are radically shifting gears away from the 19th century and into the future. The next 3 weeks our focus will be on science fiction. This week we will read a few short stories, and next week we will start reading our next novel, which is Ender's Game. In this lecture, though, I want to provide a quick introduction to science fiction, discussing what it is, why so many people like it, and what it does. So when I teach this unit in the traditional classroom, I usually start by asking students to name as many examples of science fiction stories as they can. We usually come up with a fairly long list, including Star Wars, Star Trek's Blade Runner, iRobot, Doctor Who, The Matrix, Artificial Intelligence, and even WALL-E in Jurassic Park. Once we get a good list going, I ask students what these films have in common. We come up with a few characteristics which, in fact, line up with how most people define science fiction as a genre. First of all, science fiction focuses on the future. It imagines what is not known to be possible in the present, but which might maybe someday be possible. Even though stories like Star Wars take place a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, the world they take place in is, from our perspective, futuristic. Similarly, Jurassic Park might take place in the present day, but the present of Jurassic Park seems futuristic based on our current reality. Secondly, science fiction depends on scientific, technological, or science-inspired elements. Whether that scientifically inspired element be a lightsaber or a transporter, an intelligent robot or a dinosaur created by genetic engineering, ideas inspired by existing fields of science shape the worlds and plots of science fiction stories. Furthermore, science fiction stories consider a future that theoretically, at least in our imaginations, might be possible with scientific and technological advancements. If you look at a list of top grossing movies in the 21st century, you'll find that almost half of the most successful films of the past 20 years have at least had some science fiction element. I believe there are a few reasons why science fiction is so popular today. First, we live in a world where technology is developing at an increasingly fast rate. 20 years ago, my brother and I shared a cell phone that was able to do one thing and one thing only: make phone calls. 15 years ago, I was able to play music on my phone and send text messages. Today, my phone is more or less a mini computer. If I had good Wi-Fi and enough patience, maybe a Bluetooth keyboard, I could probably do most of my job with my phone. Because we live in a world in which technology sometimes moves even more quickly than we predict, it's easy to get lost in a story that imagines the what-ifs of future technology. The fact that science fiction movies also often feature cutting-edge graphics and action-heavy storylines doesn't hurt. But science fiction also allows us to explore ethical questions about who we are, how we relate to the world, and how we relate to technology. Stories about artificial intelligence, for example, might ask us to consider what makes human uniquely human. Stories about people of Earth encountering life on other planets might allow us to explore issues like immigration, empire, and race in a more abstract theoretical framework that encourages audiences to let down their biases, their defensiveness, and look at an issue from a slightly different angle. Ultimately, a lot of science fiction stories are concerned with relationships between people who are different from one another, between humans who are competing for resources, and between humans and technology. That's why, in a class about otherness and community, I think a science fiction unit helps us approach some of the issues we've been discussing, but in a slightly different way. Today, after you watch this video, I'd like you to respond to the prompt in the assignment and then go read and respond to Robot Dreams. When we meet on Zoom this week, we'll talk about a couple of other short stories, so make sure to read those before class. And then this weekend, I'll have you watch and respond to a video about artificial intelligence. Have a good week, and as always, let me know if you have questions along the way. Bye!